All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the Mail It In podcast. We're glad to have you again. The sports world just never stops. Stuff keeps going on. So I know we've talked about the Red Wings a bunch lately. It is kind of the season because the trade deadline just passed not a couple days ago. Clayton had several predictions that he said he thought should go on. He didn't think the Red Wings were going to do anything, but that ended up being wrong because they definitely did a bunch of stuff. I will let him go into detail on that, but we'll probably talk about that. Most of it, maybe some other things if we can think of anything. First, one quick shout out. My alma mater, Linden Christian High School, girls and boys both made it to the state finals again. The girls lost, unfortunately, but still pretty good. The problem at my school is if you don't win a state championship, it's kind of a little bit of a disappointment. That's where they're at, which is awesome. I think the boys are probably playing right now, so I want to check that out. But congrats to both on that. So without further ado, go ahead, Clayton, talk about what's happened and your reactions and all that stuff.
Yeah, like I said in the previous episode, I said that they weren't. I talked about what they should do, not what they should do, or
You said what they should do.
No, I said what kind of, if they were to trade or buy, kind of sell or buy, what they would do. So I guess I prediction a little bit. But anyways, I at the end said I didn't think Yzerman was going to do anything, which obviously was wrong. So just to kind of go over those trades really fast. So the first one was obviously Tyler Bertuzzi getting traded to the Bruins. That was the first player that we talked about in that episode. Kind of rumored for most of the season being traded. Detroit got a first and a fourth round pick for him. And then they also traded Jacob Vrana to the St. Louis Blues for a seventh round pick and just a AHL player.
They had to eat half his salary, I think.
Also retained 50% of his salary. They traded Oscar Sundqvist to the Minnesota Wild for a fourth round pick. I'm missing one player. Oh, Filip Hronek, which I did predict correctly, getting traded. He was traded to the Vancouver Canucks Yzerman fleeced Vancouver for Hronek. They got a first, a second, and I believe a fourth or a fifth or something like that. But anyways, those were the trades. I think that was it. Let me double check.
Well, I think there was, the reaction I saw from a lot of Wings fans, there was a lot of them that were disappointed. And I kind of understand it because other than the last couple games with Ottawa and Seattle and stuff, or I probably saying the wrong team, they just played the Islanders today, but they had a really good run there where guys were playing out of their minds. I thought Larkin played the best I've ever seen, and they were looking strong, and everyone was feeling really good about it. And then they kind of hit the skids, which is what drives me nuts about this team. And then I think the two games with Ottawa where they really got their asses handed to them, got beat up, and that's one of the main weaknesses of this team. Trading away some of those guys that a lot of people liked, and they were just complaining like, hey, we're on the way up, and now you're trading away our main players and that sort of thing. And I think it's kind of an idiotic response because you're not really looking at what's going on when you say that. Because, Bertuzzi, as we have said, is a solid player. He's hurt all the time. He's going to be asking for big money. And, if you're giving him a $6 million deal, you're not giving it to someone else who actually might be better and might actually play.
Right.
So, that's kind of a short-sighted thing. If Bertuzzi is not kind of glass boy out there, I think Yzerman would have definitely kept him and signed him. But the fact is you don't get production. You're still paying the guy whether he plays or not if he's hurt. And so you have to look at that and say, yeah, shoot, we wish that he would play more, but we can't afford to give the guy the big money that he's going to want. I think after this season, was he a free agent?
He's a free agent this year. Yep.
So
and Steve reiterated what you just said. Like if they were going to be on a playoff run, like he knew
he'd get
that they
hurt.
were going to bid in, then he would have kept Bertuzzi because why would you sell if you're trying to make the playoffs?
Right, and the same thing with Hronek. Like, everyone that watches him on the offensive end because he's really like almost like a forward that plays defense. He does well on the offensive end. It's the problem is again his defense is so bad he's a liability. So yeah, are you taking a step back? Yes, in a way. Right now, you obviously are taking a step back, and you're kind of throwing in the towel on the season. Yes,
20 games left. I mean, no fans really. No
Right.
one. No one's like, let's go to a Red Wings game.
Well,
I mean, except for the tickets are probably going to be cheaper.
obviously they signed Larkin, but and my thing was, and I posted this out there too on Facebook. I said big contract equals big expectations, and the Red Wings have done their part. Well, now let's see if Larkin does his part because it's all on him at this point. He has no excuse. He has no excuse to sit back and do the abdicator thing and just decide to tank and not play and just get paid.
And I watched today's game against the Islanders, and I mean, Detroit was getting ran out of the building, especially in the third period.
Which is unacceptably disappointing.
They gave up 4 straight goals, which I thought maybe one was on Hellberg, but I mean, defense just they were all lackadaisical. Larkin did get a goal, but
I saw that. I didn't watch it.
no, they I'm pretty sure kind of the players as well threw in the towel a little bit, even though I guess if you want to talk playoffs, they were 1 point out of the second wild card spot. But it's
that's the problem. This team is just like I say, they're soft and weak. And I'm not just talking physically. I'm talking like mentally. They cannot be consistent.
And if you disagree with that, watch the 2 games that they played against Ottawa.
Right.
Completely
And again,
just
like
overmatched.
And I started to kind of change my mind a little bit when they were playing red hot that streak of 8 or 9 games. Because I'm like, where did this come from? Why aren't they doing this all the time? They'd be a great team. And I get there's some ebb and flow. But it's like they just fold when they face diversity sometimes. They just, or, if you're a professional athlete and getting paid, you better stink and show up and give a decent effort. I mean, these games where they just kind of stand around and it drives everybody crazy. Like, it's like, what are they doing? It's frustrating to watch sometimes.
So, Yzerman collected more draft picks. I did see something on Woodward Sports. Darren McCarty, he said something about how he thinks that Yzerman's going to do something with those draft picks in the summer in terms of either signing an RFA and then giving those
restricted free agent,
giving those picks to a team so that they can actually take the player from that team. If you don't know
Right.
how unrestricted and restricted free agents work, if a player is a restricted free agent, you sign the player, but you also have to give compensation back to that other club. And so Darren, what he was talking about on Woodward Sports is he thought that Yzerman's going to either do that with the RFA and give the other team those picks that he acquired, or just simply straight up trade for a big name guy. That's what Darren said.
That was the other point that I was going to bring up. That again, people are short sighted with saying, because he can trade picks for a guy.
Well, I'm starting to get a little annoyed too. Like, it's been since 2016 that
Right.
and Steve's saying, be patient, but at some point, like, when's the future gonna be?
Well, again,
this year
you got
or
to
next
draft and you've got to select. And again, like I said, I don't have a problem with them getting rid of Hronek and Bertuzzi because they're just not, they're not worth the money they're going to be asking. They don't give you what you need, on a consistent basis. So if you're not thinking you got to, if you have serious issues with them and the money and the worth, you got to look elsewhere. Now, maybe again, you trade for somebody that's, I agree. And some people were saying, and it was a good point, like the Avalanche turned things around in a couple years. It's hard to say because remember, like Ken Holland.
The Seattle Kraken are this is their second year in the league, and they're first or second.
I thought it was
whatever. pretty new to the
Yeah.
league, and they're at the top of the Pacific, which is
You
one of the lighter divisions, but still.
remember though that
nonetheless.
Ken Holland put, we weren't starting at ground, we were starting at ground zero because of the hole that Ken Holland put
we were
us in.
starting under the ground at that
I
point.
mean, he had really screwed this team with his stupidity. I'm surprised he hasn't made. Well, the only reason he probably hasn't killed Edmonton yet is because McDavid's such a great player. But that. So you got to remember, like, he didn't start like at a normal spot. So that's part of it. But again, it is tough. Again, hockey, you maybe have one or two guys that come in and can make a difference right away. It usually takes seasoning. It takes years of of them working either overseas or in the AHL or whatever to get them up to the level to play in the NHL. That's why draft picks are always like, it's not like football where a guy comes in, like a Joe Burrow or whatever, comes in and makes a pretty instant impact. It's just not that kind of sport.
So we talked about the two big ones being Hronek and Bertuzzi. Verana was moved. Not a great return, and they had to retain his salary.
I don't think you were going to get much from him.
You weren't
going to
really get a
unfortunate.
bunch, but I think maybe a little less than what a lot of people, I guess.
I was really hoping that he would do well.
And I thought they would keep him if they traded Bertuzzi away, but I
Yeah.
guess they were going full haul. And then Oscar Sundqvist, he was, to me, it's honestly a shock that he plays in the NHL just because he doesn't skate fast. He's not super physical. He doesn't have hands. I mean, he's just kind of a very balanced kind of bottom line forward. But, I mean, they shipped him off for a fourth-round pick. So.
And other thing, and what we talked about, too, was the Red Wings have so many, decent players. If you're finding guys that you don't think are going to make it, you got to get rid of them to make space for some of these other guys to show what they can do, too. That's another part of it. So I didn't have anything against him. I don't remember him doing a whole lot, but, yeah.
So Red Wings are still, I guess, in a playoff push. I mean, not a playoff push, but they're still in the hunt, I guess.
I think there's 20 games left?
There's still 20 games left. But I mean, they had to pull up Alex Chason from the Griffins, Alex Nedeljkovic from Grand Rapids as well. I mean, to me, at least what I saw from today, they're just, I guess
it doesn't look
players,
too promising.
The players are just kind of packing it in for the year. They're ready to pack their lockers up at the end of the last game. So,
which again, that's kind of crappy in my opinion. I mean, you get paid a lot of money, you should play hard, and that's kind of an old school mentality, I think. But I haven't seen a consistency from this team in a lot of years, and that's a concern. But the biggest concern is, if I'm playing the Red Wings. My strategy is punch them in the mouth, and they'll wither because they're not strong enough, and they don't have anyone that can answer the bell, really.
Yep. So I guess that was all negative. Positives to take away from it. The Red Wings have 10 picks in this next upcoming draft. They have 2 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, and then a couple 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Do they have a 7th? Yes, they do from Verana.
They got a crap load of picks.
They have a lot of picks. Mickey Redmond today on the broadcast was talking about one of their prospects that signed an entry-level deal earlier this year, Amadeus Lombardi, something like that. He's up to 45 goals in the OHL, I believe. Let me double-check that stat.
Well, and again, you need surprises like that to come your way, and I think a lot of times the Red Wings in the past several years have not had a lot of surprises. It's usually been like, oh boy, we have to keep this guy, even though we'd, if this was the NFL, we'd release him in a second, or so and so's disappointing, or like a Zadina where, That's the other thing. Like they were talking about him saying, "Oh, next year is going to be really critical for him." I'm like, next year?
I thought he was only signed past this season, but
I was like, how many years does this guy get to go to prove himself? Right? Yeah. I mean, I again, a goal scorer, and I understand you give a guy some time, but like I just haven't seen it, and I thought he'd be on his last leg here. Like if you're gonna do something, then show us and do it, because you've had enough time to get it figured out. You understand the NHL game. Okay, so show us what you got, kind of thing. But
Yeah, Lombardi has 40 goals, 43 points, or 43 assists for 83 points in 59 games for the Flint Firebirds. So that doesn't it says something, but you had Shane Wright get taken to Seattle, and everyone thought, I mean, he's going to play right away. He had a crap load of points in the OHL, and he's down. He's either in the AHL
OHL
or
being the
back
Ontario
in,
Hockey League, for
back
those
in
that aren't
Canada,
aware,
so.
it's like the professional league over there. They got Flint Firebirds and the
Saginaw
Sioux,
Spirit.
Saginaw Spirit. Yeah, is there a team from the Sioux from the American
Sault
side,
Ste. Marie Greyhounds. I don't know if that's in
or if that's
Canada. I think it's in
OHL?
Canada, but no, they're a part of the OHL.
Oh wait, no, I think that if there's not two, then that's got to be on the Canadian side, I think.
Yeah.
But Sault Ste. Marie is a city way up north in the UP of Michigan. And for those that may not be aware, but it's right on the border. There's a Canadian side and an American side, but whatever. Okay.
So, what to expect from the Red Wings? These next 20 games is going to be a lot of slow play, nonchalant, no effort. Kind of
I don't think we should expect that at all.
rough it out. The Red Wings
I think
for this
that
next season.
I don't think
I
that's
absolutely think that's what they're gonna do.
well. I think that's crap, though. I think the fans should expect them to still play and battle and show what they can do, even if they can't make it this year. Build the foundation for what's going on, and don't let yourself. If you allow yourself to play down in that situation, like that's to me says a lot of bad things about the organization, like and these players. It's like, hey, you should fight to the end. I don't care. It's not like you're playing out there for nothing and just playing for fun. You're getting paid a lot of money. You should play.
Yeah, I was just saying, in terms of the players' work ethic, I don't think that they'll be.
I'm saying that's bad.
They're not going to be playing like they were playing the couple games before, where they were fighting, to stay in the playoff push.
Sure, there's right. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying like that's people that mail it in as our podcast is. When they don't have a reason to go other than they're paid to and it's their job, that to me is garbage. Whatever your job is, whatever my job is, I don't get to just like take it easy when I don't feel like it and things aren't going my way. I have to still work. To earn my cash and my dough. So, anyway, that's another thing too. And like at some point we probably need to explain to everybody where the mail it in thing came from too.
Sooner rather than later.
Yeah. So it's nothing overly exciting. We're kind of stringing everybody along with that, but there is a backstory on it, at least a small one. So anything else?
Red Wings traded away a bunch of players. We can expect, if Steve Yzerman doesn't do anything with those picks, we can expect a lot of players to be drafted by the Red Wings next season. But no, other than that, am I happy about the trade deadline for the Red Wings? No, because I was wanting them to go to the playoffs, obviously. Because for me, I don't like this. I agree with Steve Yzerman's moves, but I don't agree with him saying, I mean, let's be patient. I get the patience, but at some point, it's got to be like, when is it stop being in the future, and when is it this season? Like we're gonna make the playoffs, and if you're not gonna play to the expectation of the coach and of the organization, then you will be gone. But no, that's it. So
yeah, no, it's interesting to watch, and like I said, I mean, I think all the fans kind of share that frustration a little bit too, because of the time it's taken. And again, this is a franchise that is used to winning if you consider the last 25, 30 years. And so, yeah, it has been disappointing. And they're not as bad as other teams, or especially in the Detroit area. But yeah, we got to see who's gonna show and who's gonna lead this team. Especially, it should be Larkin. It should be him. He just signed a big contract, a lot of expectations. And if he doesn't fulfill those expectations, I think we need to do a little Philly, New York on him and just be on the guy. Like, you sign a deal, that's great. Great, fantastic for you. Now fulfill the deal. Now don't tank it like an Abdelkader or a Cleary or any of those guys that signed the deal and then just decided not to show up anymore. That's not what you want. So, but again, from a positive standpoint, I think they, as long as they're drafting well, they're going to be fine. If you're picking guys that are going to help you, you're going to be good. And it might be one of those things where you're just kind of holding back a little more, and then all of a sudden you have a team full of really good players, and then you're making a run instead. Because like, if they had kept everybody and somehow squeaked into the playoffs, and Yzerman said it today too, like, there's no way we're going to a long playoff run. Like, we're just not good enough yet. And again, those Ottawa games were big, I think, and he even said that too, something like that. Like, that revealed to him, like, we're not ready. And again, if you play the Red Wings right now, you punch them in the mouth, that's what you're going to do. And they're going to expect more of the same if people saw the Ottawa games. People are going to come at them, they're going to hit them, and they're going to try to take them out of their game. And that's what happened twice in Ottawa. So
Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed the video, please like, give it a comment, and subscribe if you are new. We'll talk to you next time.